Hey there, I'm Jesse, and you're listening to the Deep Lore Boys podcast, where me, Matthew, and Jackson delve into the random, rare, and often ridiculous pieces of human history.
Do a bunch of miners really want to admit that they were just bested by a bunch of YMCA campers?
What if the Bigfoots were just throwing octopuses at them? They weren't even rocks.
Did this guy just pick up the goat and pull out the silver beads of Kakuthra?
Lay the goat out and sacrifice it to the...
I'm not really the kind of guy who is super knee-deep in sports. I don't dip my toes into the football and basketball worlds very often. But I do know we got some unforeseen teams making it to the Super Bowl this year. So what if we dug into the lore of each side? Because, I need to be educated on this. I need to keep up with the
I think
the
we kind of look
world,
at sort of what happens, because I don't know anything.
What teams are in the Super Bowl? Cincinnati and what was the other one?
Los Angeles Rams. Let's do Cincinnati first, because I feel like Los Angeles is just going to be
we already did get there's the lizard people that live under LA.
Yeah, there's the Los Angeles lizard tunnels.
Yeah, why isn't that the name of their... Because LA has the Rams and the Chargers?
Yep.
Why don't they have the Los Angeles lizard tunnelers?
That's their team name, the Los Angeles Lizards.
And now football is so filled with rules and stuff. We can't just say LA Lizards and just put them in there. We can't just do that.
Well, Washington just changed their name to the Commanders. I wanted them to just be called the Washington Football Guys.
Washington Football Guys. You got a pep talk in the locker. Guys, we are the Washington Football Guys. We got this.
We are the guys. Guys.
That'd be a fun experience. That would be really fun. I'm not going to lie.
That would be cool. I'd play for the guys.
No. Okay. Big discovery. Somebody working on the Bengals, maybe he's not the owner. I don't know who he is. His name is Sam Hubbard. I don't know what he does there. He says that he wants the Bengals to do something to honor Harambe in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
He says that he wants to have something, kind of like how they tried to put Sweet Victory from SpongeBob in the Super Bowl when Stephen Hillenburg died. They want to put something to honor Harambe in there. And I feel like we have to. We can't just let that slide. We have to.
The Browns' rival team was founded by the guy that they are named after. Paul Brown was the co-founder and coach of the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns team was named after him. He later played a role in founding the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals Stadium is named Paul Brown Stadium. The two teams are rivals.
Wow. So that was I'm thinking, what are the names? I'm a PK, should know my Bible lore better, but Abraham, God's hey, you should have a kid. And he's like, I can't. I have a kid with my wife. I'll have a kid with this slave instead. And so he does. And that child ends up forming Israel's rival.
Yeah, in the future. Islam.
Yeah, it was Islam to Israel. Do we have any deep lore on Los Angeles since we gave Cincinnati a whole bit?
I could talk about LA for a while, I'm going to be honest. That's part of why I really want to at least go to LA or live there, is because just walking around in the street, you just see people that you'll recognize from TV or something. You'll be like, what the frick? And it actually happens. It's not just this thing that people say oh yeah, LA, I'm going to live with the stars or whatever. It genuinely happens depending on what part of the city you're in.
Yeah, Bill Nye apparently is from there, so you might run into Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, he's living it up. Oh, Robert F. Kennedy, what a guy. He's from there, apparently.
Shoot. Oh, wait, I can't say that.
Oh, no.
That's gotta be taken out.
No, it's gotta be left in.
So why the Rams? Why the Los Angeles Rams? Why not the Los Angeles Bill Nyes? The Los Angeles gangs? Because there's so much crime.
Yeah, where did that...
Apparently. Where... Let's get the
Los Angeles gangs. What a team name.
Maybe they're just trying to cover up the Los Angeles lizard tunnels by not having that be their team. What's the furthest animal from a lizard? A ram. If any of our listeners out there who are just perhaps joining us for the first time would like to know why Los Angeles is the home of so many lizard people, go back and listen to episode 3 on monsters, because some guy way back in the day, he built himself a radio X-rays, he called it, and found some gold-loaded lizard tunnels beneath Los Angeles, and then dug a 300-foot shaft to go find them. And what he found was pretty shocking.
It's real. It's
real. It
It's
is
real.
absolutely real.
So I just found an absolutely bizarre fact. This is really just weird. This goes back to like the Cleveland Browns with the Bengals. Okay, so the politician Lucius Quintus Cincinnatus Lamar was nominated.
Hold on. He ended with Lamar.
Yes, it ended with Lamar.
Like he had that whole Roman spiel and then Lamar.
Cincinnatus Lamar.
He was nominated. Now take it. His one of his middle names is Cincinnatus. He was nominated into power by Grover Cleveland.
What?
That is impossible.
Hold on.
What?
Coincidence?
What is happening?
I think not.
This is just further proving the fact that Ohio is a very weird place.
It's true.
There's something going on in that state.
So if you know about the Cubs curse,
I don't know about the Cubs curse. What's that?
it's also known as the curse of the Billy Goat. It was a sports curse that was supposedly placed on the Chicago Cubs Major League Baseball franchise.
Shoot.
It was placed by William Sionis, I think is his name. It lasted for 71 years. They did not win a World Series from 45 to 2016.
It was a guy who literally showed up at a sports game with a goat, and I think they asked him to leave. They asked him to get the goat out because it was bothering people, and he proceeded to just say, like, they ain't gonna win anymore. And then they proceeded to simply, like, they were doing well, and then proceeded to just stop immediately after that, and they didn't win for another, like, 70 years.
Yeah, the curse of the Billy Goat was a
guy.
sports curse that was supposedly placed on the Chicago Cubs Major League Baseball franchise in 1945 by Billy Goat Tavern owner William Sionis? That's an epic name if you're some kind of hocus-pocus curse-laying wizard.
Yeah.
During Game 4 of the 1945 World Series at Wrigley Field, Sionis' pet goat named Murphy was bothering other fans, and so the pair was asked to leave the stadium. Outraged, he declared, "Them Cubs, they ain't gonna win no more." And he was right. See, I'm wondering now, because they don't specify it. This is a little shifty. Did this guy just like pick up his goat under one arm, throw a middle finger in the air, and just yell, "Y'all ain't gonna win," and that was it, and that was the curse? Or did he like pick up the goat and pull out the silver beads of Kakuthra? And
did he like lay the goat out and like sacrifice it to the baseball gods and just like?
Yeah,
that's interesting. So the guy who calls this whole goat thing in the year 1970. The same year that he died, he'd petitioned the mayor of Chicago. He asked him to issue him a liquor license for the moon so that he could legally sell liquor on the moon to astronauts. And he wanted to make a burger restaurant up there and also raise moon goats. This was 1970. People had been to the moon once.
You know, I wonder if the burger joint on the moon was kind of the 1970s version of Cryptoland. Like, oh, this is totally going to happen because this is such a big thing. We put people on the moon. And it is, of course, it's not going to go anywhere.
We went to the moon 53 years ago. We haven't really progressed anything on the moon since then. What if, like, all of humanity is under a curse like that that's just stopping them from progressing? What if they went to the moon? You think
William Sionis cursed the moon?
I think he did. I think that they wouldn't let him up there, and so he said there will never be a restaurant on the moon. I mean, so far, 53 years have gone by, 52 years, I guess, since he said that. Still no restaurant, no burger chain, no moon goats,
for real.
No liquor.
Actually, hold on. I just found a little extra piece of pivotal lore here about William Sionis. There's a section of the Wikipedia called Attempts to Break the Curse, and apparently prior to his death on October 22nd, 1970, Sionis himself attempted to lift the curse. So he felt some remorse. Yeah, it says that he took his nephew, Sam Sionis, to Wrigley Field, the place where he had originally laid the curse, with a goat multiple times in attempts to break the curse. So he was like Abraham and Isaac.
He was ready.
Going to this field. He was ready to sacrifice either Isaac or the goat caught in the thistle here.
So after he broke the curse, then the Cubs were just bad.
Oh, so you think he may have successfully done it and then they were just bad?
I think he did it and it was just their fault. They were just bad.
Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense.
The reason I bring this up is, what if Cincinnati has the curse of Harambe, and we just don't know it.
I'm gonna bring a gorilla to the Super Bowl, and then
Oh no!
say that
Oh no!
when they ask me to leave, I'm gonna say that the Bengals ain't gonna win.
Wow! Yeah, you could lay down the curse.
I could.
You know, maybe
I can be a wizard if I want.
You know what? You might not even have to sacrifice the gorilla because the real Harambe has already fallen.
The real Harambe has already. He's given his blood so that we can be free.
So, Ape Canyon.
Oh, frick, I just squeaked my chair.
Dang it, Matthew!
The moment you started, I just hit that creak. That was rough.
You had that epic creak. Ape Canyon is a gorge along the edge of the Plains of Abraham. Very dramatic, along the southeast shoulder of Mount St. Helens in the state of Washington. Ape Canyon is, apart from its name, it's a pretty average-looking gorge, pretty cool-looking gorge. However,
Monkey Canyon.
It's a spooky monkey canyon, though, because allegedly, in 1924, a group of miners were attacked by a group of ape men, straight-up Sasquatches, and then later on in 1963, mysteriously, a skier vanished there, and some of his friends and family have gone on record saying they're pretty sure that the Sasquatches got him. Now, I'm not about to shoot down Bigfoot, literally or theoretically. Maybe he's out there, maybe he's not. We'll let you guys decide, but we're going to have to take a look here, a venture, if you will, into Ape Canyon.
I think Bigfoot is real.
You're on Team Bigfoot?
I'm on Team Bigfoot, okay. I guess I'm not on Team Bigfoot. I think he's real, but I think he's dangerous. I think he is
you're not rooting for him.
Monkey. I think there is a very large monkey, or several of them probably, living in Ape Canyon, and I think they're causing some serious problems.
Yeah, summer of 1924, Fred Beck, Gabe Leafer, John Peterson, Marion Smith, and Smith's son Roy described their coming upon gorilla men, as they described it, near where they had built a small cabin for their gold hunting forays. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, at least. There might have been more. Those are the only people that are cited. So I'm going to assume it was 5. And I mean, this is all just what these 5 guys claimed. They saw these Bigfoots during the day before they got attacked. It was like the day before. They described them as being covered with long black hair. Their ears are about 4 inches long and stick straight up. They have 4 toes, short and stubby, and look like they weighed about 400 pounds. The toes is a little odd to me because that tells me that they were close enough that they could see the toes, look at them and count.
And also on top of that, no other known hominid. We have 5 toes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have.
So that's
5
a little
toes.
whack.
So
I mean, apparently that's what Fred was thinking because Fred thought those 4 toes were heckin' unnatural, and he claims somebody else did this years later. But the original report was that he fired his rifle at the thing, struck 3 times, and the wounded animal toppled off a cliff. And apparently that's what provoked the Bigfoot attack because that night they were awakened when huge stones, it says, began clomping against the outside of their cabin. Then they heard and felt giant bodies slamming against the walls and door. The 8 men were seeking revenge. Says one rock fell through the roof and struck Beck, knocked him unconscious for 2 hours. But when the sun began to come up, the animals broke off and began to slip away, leaving their attack behind. And then, of course, these miners got the heck out of there. Now, apart from just the idea, let's assume there were a bunch of Bigfoots here, a whole clan of them in Ape Canyon. They were ticked off because you shot one of their buddies just because he had 4 toes. Listen, it's not Gertrude's fault that she was born with 4 toes.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they had a right to be upset.
But let's assume that's all true. Let's assume this is all 100%. You get a whole party of 8 men. They're throwing rocks. They bust a hole through the roof. They slam against the side. They really can't get in there. They don't do more damage.
Can't. How strong is this cabin?
If they're 400 pounds, these are some strong boys.
And also on top of that, then they just leave the moment the sun goes up. They're just like, oh, enough.
Wait, they threw a 400-pound rock?
No. They're 400-pound monkey. And
they could have cannonballed it
hard enough to bust a hole through the ceiling of the cabin and knock somebody out. It's very possible that it could have been just a bunch of kids throwing rocks and yelling. And down below it sounded like some monkey whooping.
Well, that is
an
idea a lot of people have had because there's a, let me see, it's a YMCA camp Camp Meehan
Camp
nearby
Meehan.
by Spirit
Yeah.
Lake. The problem with that is it's so dang far away from where the cabin is. These kids would have had to like sneak out and make this a couple miles trek to this spot and then start throwing rocks. And I would imagine, even if you're woken out of your sleep in the middle of the night, you and your burly miner buddies drinking gin and hacking away at rocks with your iron pickaxes. I feel like if a bunch of 12-year-olds started throwing rocks at you and doing Fortnite dances up on the cliff, you're not going to be like, holy crap, 12-foot, 8-man, huck and bowling.
Yeah, I feel like...
Do a bunch of miners really want to admit that they were just bested by a bunch of YMCA campers?
It doesn't seem that they were bested by them.
But wouldn't you just go home and not say anything about it? Wouldn't it be more of a risk to say that you got attacked by Bigfoots? I mean, it was enough that they left.
Yeah, it was apparently bad enough that they left.
So this says, this article I just read says it was 8 miles from Spirit Lake, this cabin. Yeah, at least that's what the people claimed. And this camp was nearby Spirit Lake. And by nearby, I'm going to guess that means at least within a mile. Because if you're by the lake, you're probably taking kids swimming and stuff, doing camp things. So now, of course, from what I can tell, none of these guys ever left the cabin. And they were awoken in the middle of the night by something banging against the cabin, bouncing off the roof, rocks falling. Yeah. And all just exploded. And we're like, holy crap, there's Bigfoot's attacking. So it could have just been some kind of mass hysteria.
Do we have any sort of context as to like their families or who they knew or anything? Because they could have gone out there, been like, yeah, we're gonna find gold, and their whole families were like, no, you're not gonna find gold, come on. And maybe they all collectively didn't want to be proven wrong, and so instead of not finding gold, they just were like, oh, Bigfoots, and then they just held to it.
Actually, I kind of like that because it also works if they did find gold. What if they found gold and then wanted to come up with a nasty story about how we didn't find any gold, but you know what we did find? Bigfoots. You want to stay away from there. Yeah. And then they just went and got all the gold. Too.
So either way, it is a foolproof idea.
And the thing is, there were already legends of Bigfoots and Sasquatches circling around Ape Canyon for a while before that. Yeah, so I stand corrected. It might have actually been called Ape Canyon when they went in there. Yeah, it looks like it was a very popular Bigfoot hotspot. It was where all the cool Sasquatches were going.
Are there other like Sasquatch sightings in Ape Canyon?
There's another very prominent one, and that is the disappearance of skier Jim Carter. I'm just going to read straight from the Wikipedia here because I think it gives the best and most concise version of the story. And this is the headline to a story by Marge Davenport in the Oregon Journal, which happened in 1963, this issue of the Longview Times. Carter's complete disappearance is an unsolved mystery to this day, declared Bob Lee, a well-known Portland mountaineer. Dr. Otto Trott, Lee Stark, and I finally came to the conclusion that the apes got him, said Lee seriously. On the way down the mountain, Carter left the other climbers at a landmark called Dog's Head, at the 8,000-foot level. He told them he would ski around to the left and take a picture of the group as they skied down the timberline. That was the last anyone saw of Carter. The next morning, searchers found a discarded film box at the point where he had taken a picture. From here, Carter evidently took off down the mountain in a wild, death-defying dash, taking chances that no skier of his caliber would take unless something was terribly wrong or he was being pursued. He jumped over 2 or 3 large crevices and evidently was going like the devil, it says in quotes. When Carter's tracks reached the precipitous sides of Ape Canyon, the searchers were amazed to see that Carter had been in such a hurry that he went right down the steep canyon walls, but they did not find him at the bottom. We combed the canyon one end to another for 5 days. Sometimes there were as many as 75 people in the search party, and after 2 weeks, the search was called off.
That is irrefutable proof that
that there are
Bigfoot in Ape Canyon. If he was skiing away from monkeys, like if you see a bunch of ape men, they're chasing after you, and you're like, frick, I gotta get the heck out of here. I don't think they're gonna run faster than you can ski. I think he should have been able to ski down fast enough and just kind of like get out somewhere, unless he had been skiing and then like couldn't stop. He was just going down and like he couldn't stop, in which case that's alarming. I think the more alarming part is more so the fact that the tracks, like they know where he was. They know that he was skiing. The tracks lead down into a canyon, and then they just never found him or any sign of him apart from just his tracks.
Right.
You know, you don't just ski and then just like hit a wormhole and disappear. Like,
right, yeah. Either it was a wormhole or the apes.
Something got him at the bottom.
So all that there really is to the story, I mean, the basic facts, there are people who have said, like, I don't know, man, it feels like there's somebody watching you in that canyon, but that you can't really go off of.
That's whenever you have that. I was in a haunted house and I felt like somebody was watching me. Like, that's just not reputable.
Maybe that's because you were in a haunted house and you were expecting to be watched.
Maybe you were paranoid. Like, maybe that's
maybe that. So, but the basic facts are, he went to take this picture. They found his tracks. He started going wild. He was taking chances that, quote, no skier of his caliber would take unless something was terribly wrong or he was being pursued. He jumped over some large crevasses and was, again, quote, evidently going like the devil. So he was whipping. Maybe he just got a surge of adrenaline. He was feeling good, and he decided to eat out.
But then that still doesn't explain why they didn't find him. Yeah, how, especially if they had as many as 75 people in a search party over 2 weeks going across the canyon and around the area.
Did they find any footprints of these ape men?
Technically, yes, but basically no. So people would go around seeing these monkey footprints along Spirit Lake shore. They would see the Bigfoot tracks, and people were like, must be Bigfoot. What's going on? Everybody was really excited about it until they realized that all of the tracks were the same right foot. And so unless it's just like a one-legged Bigfoot, it kind of became a bit of an issue.
Amputee Sasquatch?
It's possible. Turned out that it was just a guy who had a right foot that he was going around and putting in the sand. On the shore. That is all. It was
it was an employee at the ranger station. Apparently, he admitted to the hoax. I honestly think the most plausible theory I've heard about the cabin attack actually came from you. I think that the conspiracy type thing of they made up the story to keep people away from that canyon or to, not come back empty-handed. I think that just it checks the most boxes.
I think
out of the story.
Because I think it's kind of ridiculous that it would have been kids from a camp, just because those kids would have had to hike. They would have had to go to the camp and then back in one night, which is a 16-mile hike across
they would have to sneak out and go 8 miles.
Unless they had some counselor with him.
You reckon it was the ranger guy leaving the stupid right foot things everywhere?
It was him. It was like, hey kids, funny idea, guys.
Let's go throw rocks.
Honestly, he sounds like a real one. Yeah, whoever that guy is, he sounds like a real one. The Northwest Pacific Tree Octopus, it's a true icon. It's real.
What is this? There's a whole website. Help save the endangered Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus from extinction. It can be found in temperate rainforests of the Olympic Peninsula on the west coast of North America. An intelligent and inquisitive being, has the largest brain-to-body ratio for any mollusk.
It's incredible. So, how this started out, basically, for some context here.
Yeah, give me the lore.
Is, basically, somebody decided, they were like, you know what? Northwest Pacific Tree Octopus, it exists. And I'm going to tell everybody that it exists. And they went around and did a study on a bunch of 13-year-old school children and told them all, they just presented it to them like it was real information. There's the whole website and stuff on it. Like they taught about it like it was a real thing.
How many bought it?
Out of the 53 school children that were taking place in this study, 27 of them said that the Northwest Pacific Tree Octopus was a reliable, real thing. And only 6 of the kids, so 11%, said that it was unreliable.
Wow, so they really convinced them. They really pranked them hard. Little thing I gotta point out here is that the natural predators of the tree octopus include the bald eagle and Sasquatch, according to the website.
Well, then obviously,
that's why it's endangered.
Yeah, if Sasquatch.
Oh, hold up! Theory. What if it wasn't Bigfoots in Ape Canyon? It was actually just a bunch of these octopi just hucking rocks to try to scare everybody away so they could live in peace.
No. What if the Bigfoots were just throwing octopuses at them? They weren't even rocks.
Oh, no. Octopuses.
And that's why they're endangered, is because the Bigfoots would use them all as ammunition.
Dang. No. Maybe they used, since octopi are stretchy, they use them as slingshots to shoot the rocks.
They like the two of them like stretch out the octopus, and the one guy like pulls it back.
Right.
Oh no!
They make a 3-man slingshot.
Dude,
That's how they took a hole through the roof of the cabin and knocked that guy out. That was like
must have been
the fastball special.
We just worked it out. That was how they did it.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Hi again, it's Jesse. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. You can find more episodes of our show on YouTube and Spotify, which we encourage you to share with your friends so we can grow the podcast. And drop a comment down below if you're feeling extra generous. We love hearing from you guys. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope your day is nothing short of interesting. Take care.
I'm going to go post that one on twitter.com.